Mr. David Ward.
Speaker. It's not a difficult one for me, this, Mr. Speaker. I believe that benefits are far too high. I think most people accept that they're at an unsustainable level. Yes, the national payments on benefits is, without a doubt, as a nation, it is far too high. However, what we are facing here seems to me in this bill to be a huge lack of confidence by the coalition in its own policies and programmes to deal with that situation. Because none of us are going to support people who are scroungers or skivers. None of us are going to support people who are fraudulently claiming disability benefits. None of us are going to say that we shouldn't be supporting people into work. But we on this side say we are doing all of that. We say on this side we are dealing with a situation where we will be able to reduce this colossal welfare bill to the nation. So it's a huge lack of confidence for us to then say we now need to go to the least well off in the country and say you've got to make a contribution to this deficit reduction. Because if our measures do work, and we say they are going to work, we go and tell people how successful they are going to be. What are we left with? What we are left with is those who want a job and cannot get it, even when they've been through the work programme. We're talking about those who are disabled and have been assessed as disabled and not able to work. We're talking about those people. We're talking about those who are in work but with low incomes. These are the people we are now saying, despite we've got this confidence in our strategy, we're saying we're not really sure because we're going to have to come to you for you to make a contribution as well. Now, the arguments for this, there are three that I've identified. First of all, this incentive argument that work should always pay. But I thought we were going to do that. I thought that's what the universal credit was supposed to be about. The second thing is that we can't afford it. Well, I didn't see much cutting back on the Olympics. But also, of course, we've had various suggestions. Yes, there are tough decisions. We've had a suggestion about limiting the tax relief on pensions. Yes, we can seem to afford to pay for millionaires to get tax reductions. Yes, of course, we can afford to allow rich pensioners to get winter fuel payments. Now, these are all decisions, and there are many more. But first of all, we need to look at all of those before we come to the people on the lowest incomes and with no income surviving on benefits before we actually...
Would you agree with me that the fiscal cliff deal made last week in America, which took most money out of the top 2% and gave money to people in lower incomes and is projected to increase growth by 1%, is a much better way than squaring the circle than the autumn statement, which takes money from the bottom 30 and 50% and gives it to the next people up the rung and reduces overall consumer demand?
Well, no, that and the multiplier effect of providing... We know this. It's not a secret. It's well researched and we understand this. But I've come to the third reason that's given, and it's this one of fairness. And there is a national debate about fairness that is taking place. But I have to... This is where I'm going to get really technical now. There's a difference, really, between somebody who is unemployed and somebody who is employed. The person who is unemployed does not have a job. The person who's employed has got a job. They are not the same. You cannot compare them. When you are talking about fairness and a 1% income, I'll give you another one. This is a really technical one. Those people who are on low incomes and receiving tax credits, they're receiving tax credits because they're on low incomes. It's very technical, this. But how on earth can we compare those on low incomes or indeed those on benefits with people who are in a job? You cannot say it's unfair, bizarre, according to the Prime Minister, to give somebody who is in a job 1%, but then to give 2% to those who are on benefits. You cannot compare the two. There is a difference between somebody on benefits and somebody who has got a job. And the evidence is that is very, very clear, because are we seriously suggesting that those people who are in employment, and yes, they don't like the pay freezes, yes, they don't like the 1% increase, are you telling me that they would seriously give up their job to be unemployed? Don't be ridiculous. Most of the people, And don't forget, we're eliminating all the scroungers and everything else, but most people, in my experience, look at people who are unemployed and say, thank God it's not me. That's what they say. They don't say it's not fair that they're getting their benefits increased. They say, there, but for the grace of God, go I. Now, there's one other reason. I've said it's to do with this massive lack of confidence in our own proposals, but there could be another one, and I hope this is not true. And that's to do with a sense that the public at large are actually in favour of these welfare reforms. So what a good opportunity. Egged on by opinion polls, it is an opportunity that some people on this side see to attack the unemployed. And what's driving that, I fear, is it's based upon a deep-rooted conviction that unemployed people are unemployed by choice. That's what worries me. Now, I hope it's this lack of confidence, but I suspect deep down there are far too many people on this side of the House that believe that these are the deserved poor, and they need to sort themselves out, and we cannot possibly reward them by giving them an increase. Don't forget, this is not an increase. It is simply freezing with inflation the level of benefits which we have decided provide them already with a minimum standard of living. It is not fair. I will not support it.
Twig.